Talking real estate, a Champions Real Estate team here at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company. My name is Mark Wehner II, the team leader of Champions Real Estate team. Joining me today is Russ Williams with Williams Mortgage. So we jump on here every Wednesday. This morning we're doing a little earlier than what we normally do. Just give you a rundown of what's going on in the market this last week. And let me share our graphics that we do every week. So keep it the same, everyone understands what's going on here. So new listings that came on in this last week are up 450, and contracts written are 203, and sold homes at 265. So the number I want to focus on is that 452 numbers that we've had for the last week. So last week we were about 325, if I remember correctly, and then before that we were like 100. So we're seeing new listings coming on the market. That's the most listings we've had since our video on November 9th. So 2 months ago, almost to the date, that's the most amount of listings we've had in 1 week. So what I'm seeing is in the contract numbers, new pendings has not gone up. So what that's telling me is there's a lot of buyers that are still kind of waiting. Well, I'm going to wait till the spring market, and then I'm going to get active in it. Well, there's great houses coming on the market right now that if you're thinking about buying a house and you don't have your ducks in a row, you need to give Russ Williams a call. And as far as from a financing standpoint, to get going before you see a big push. I think we're going to see, as Russ will probably talk about a little later, maybe a little improvement in interest rates, which is going to be, oh goodness, yay, hey, great, awesome. The rates were at 7.5. I can see us doing a video in March. Rates were at 7.5 in November. Now they're at 6 and something, and everyone's going to be out there buying a house. And we're going to be saying, hey, if you would have jumped on the market or jumped on the bandwagon in January, when there are a lot of houses coming on the market out there, and getting your foot in the door before I feel there's going to be more buyer competition, which is just historical. This time of year, you see a lot of the houses come up, and then you're going to see more closings, you're going to see more activity. The weather's really nice right now. I mean, comparatively for what January's been historically. So I think it's a great time to get out there. And even if you're, your New Year's resolution, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, if that's buying a house, I'd love to sit down with you, go over, get a game plan in that aspect of it. From a seller's perspective, it's still a great time because you're going to see a lot of rush of buyers coming into the market. So it's a good aspect of for both sides of the coin. But buyers, you can get out there, get a good house, fair price, and sellers, you're still kind of capitalizing on that appreciation from last year. We're still seeing a little uptick, and this time of year, listings, it's kind of you're setting the bar of what's going on, because when we're looking at the market, when we're doing a market analysis, I just sat down with a seller last night, and we're actually listing the house next week, barring we get the stagers and everything, get the house ready, but it's supposed to hit the market next week. All things go according to plan. But I told them, I was like, we're setting the bar essentially of when that house comes on the market, this time of year, because if you're using data from November, that's when interest rates were at 7.5. There wasn't a lot of houses on the market. Now we're going to see more uptick, more activity. So you're just trying to set that market and get a good price for that house in that regard. So let's look at a 30,000-foot view. So these numbers are kind of still the same. So like we talked about last year, we always saw that we had a low inventory, which we did, but we always had one in and one out. So we sold a lot of houses last year, more than we sold the previous year, but our numbers never really indicated it. So that previous chart that I had, where we have 450 new homes that came on the market, new listings that came live, our numbers on this graph or this graphic haven't really changed week to week. We're still about that 2,250, 2,300 homes on the market. The homes in the Douglas-Sarpy County has kind of been hovering around that 1,300 plus or minus. And our homes, the existing homes, Russ can attest to the previous weeks, we're right about that 400 mark. And our new construction's kind of been hovering around that 900. The months of inventory that we're seeing, my little screen on my side, 4.4 months. So we jumped almost a month and a half of inventory, because you saw all of a sudden we went from 100 homes, 350 homes, now up to 450 homes. And so we're having those homes, but we're not seeing those houses go off the market as quick as they were last, summer, spring, where they were one in, one out. They weren't even, we couldn't even really get them on our graphics here, because by the time that week was up, all those houses were gone that came on that week before, and we just kept the same numbers throughout the week. Our average sold price kind of right around that 320 mark, which has been, normal in that regard. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on the market side of it, is that we're seeing, those two different graphics tell kind of two different stories. We see what's going on in today and then what's going on in the big picture. The big picture isn't really changing all that much because it's one in, one out, but we're seeing that only number that changed on there was that months of inventory bumped up, a substantial amount from where we were last year at this time. I think we're at 0.9 months supply of inventory. We had 1,100 homes on the market at this time last year, and we never really got above that until probably May, if I recall, because it was one in, one out. One was coming on the market, one was going off, and we never saw those numbers indicated. And everyone's like, "Oh, we got such a low supply of inventory." We do, but we don't, because there's a bunch of houses coming on the market. They were just going off quick. They weren't sitting there for a week where we could track those numbers of inventory coming on. But when you take a look at, the week to week new listings, like I just said, 100, 350, 450, coming on that market. I think that's where we're seeing those houses come on. So I think it's a great opportunity on both sides of the coin to get your house on the market, because there's still not a lot of the inventory out there. But from a buyer's perspective, you're still seeing more houses come on. And we're only seeing 200 contracts written this last week, which is not a lot, out of the entire Omaha, the MLS, basically. So that's Lincoln and Omaha. So from that perspective, it's looking at from that side of it. So that's kind of my excitement of the day. So I guess, Russ, what are we seeing on the mortgage side to get some of these people into a house from that perspective?
We're continuing to see inflationary pressures ease just a little bit, and that's been very helpful to mortgage rates. Tomorrow's going to be a big day in the market. The December Consumer Price Index, or CPI report numbers, will come out, which we're expecting will show some continued improvement and lessening of inflation, and that's very friendly to mortgage rates. As you pointed out, we saw rates in the 7s in November, and this morning we're actually at 4-month lows for mortgage rates, and possibly even moving lower. Part of the reason why that's important is, as interest rates drop, borrowing power improves by roughly 10% for every 1% rate change in rate. So in the event that rates were 7.5, my borrowing power is 10% worse than what my borrowing power would be at 6.5. And the reason why that's significant is, when the rates were higher, affordability was starting to stress a lot of people. And so those folks were on the sidelines. As rates come down, affordability is going to be better for a lot of people. And we're going to see, as we approach the spring markets and continued rate improvement, that we'll have more competitors in the marketplace. So this is the time you want to get out there to try to buy a house, as opposed to waiting until you have more competition. As we've talked about many times, using normal laws as supply and demand, Mark, if you have multiple buyers for one product, you're not going to get that in all likelihood below list price or asking price. Chances are you may have to pay even at or above asking price. That would be a great reason why buyers need to get in touch with you guys right away, to get out there and start shopping while there are homes and there is inventory available to purchase. Second thing, from a seller's perspective, if you're thinking about waiting until the spring market, when we might see it, maybe, we don't know, see an increase in price. To be should also be expecting to pay more on that new property. So this is a good time to get your home listed as well. I think I lost connection there. I'm back. Yep, so from a seller's perspective, it's important to get in touch with Mark to move up.
Yeah. So I mean, I think what he's trying to say is, with the, go ahead. You with us? All right. You're back. I see you moving.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with our connectivity here, but this is the time, because as the finance markets improve, the majority of buyers are financing a purchase, and that's going to push the price of homes potentially higher, especially in the entry-level price points. And from the seller's perspective, if you're hoping to move up into that next home, that dream home, you may have more competition there as well. So do we expect 15 to 20% appreciation like we did last year? No. But if you look at a 60-year history in the state of Nebraska, we've been averaging about 3.5 to 3.75% average annual increases in home prices. And a lot of that starts to hit in the spring season. So get out there now, get shopping with Mark and his team.
Yeah, and as you said, like as the interest rates are going down a little bit, you're going to obviously gain that purchasing power. So you're going to get more buyers in a higher price point on a buyer pool right now. So right now, if those rates are where you're comfortable with that, obviously you can always refinance down the road, but you're going to have less buyers in that buyer pool because, like you said, for every 1%, that 10% increase. So a $200,000 house and 1%, that's $20,000 increase. So you were pre-approved for 220. And when that rate goes up 1%, now you're only approved for 200. And that's a lot of house in that price point. And as you move up, at $300,000, $30,000, 40, it is simple math. That $40,000 at $400,000 house is a big difference in what you can get in those houses in any price point. And so as that interest rate kind of swings back and forth or goes down, you're going to get more buyers. Oh, I can get a little bit bigger house that I need, or more amenities, or the shiny new toy type of aspect of it. So you're going to get more of those people. Whereas last year when the rates started ticking up, oh man, I can't get what I've been seeing. And some of those buyers got discouraged, went to the sidelines. Well, now it's a good time because 6%, 6.5% is still a great rate over that 40-year period to get a house, in all honesty. So, but so I think it's a great time. We've been beating that drum as far as getting with one of us to get a game plan together, because the games start, we're getting into that, first quarter, we're running that first play from scrimmage, and it's going to be, you don't want to wait till halftime to where you have to make adjustments, get out there and make a decision and just get an educated decision on what makes sense to you, to get that playbook ready for you moving forward. So, but appreciate everyone listening. I don't know if Russ, you have any closing statements or anything you got?
Nope. Hopefully we have I know we're still 2.5 weeks away, 3 weeks away, but I hope the groundhog says we got an early spring. I'm ready to go.
Yep. Sounds good. Appreciate everybody. Give us a holler. Happy to help. And we'll talk to you guys next week.